Okay, I got some great news. Daily Mail, a male only space is keeping up to its guns. It's standing up for itself. Sexism Row as men only farmers group called LADS refuses to admit women because male agriculture workers need a safe space to discuss mental health, and they do. Men need space for their mental health. Again, women are not, they can't open up in front of women because women bash men who show vulnerability. So that's why. And so this word sexism doesn't belong here. Now, the Liverpool Agriculture Discussion Society, called LADS, founded in 1928, voted to continue banning females from attending their meetings and Wednesday, April 6th, arguing they needed a safe space to discuss their mental health. Now, they're right, but their argument should be these women have their own women-only spaces, and so therefore we need it. They should be arguing for equality, not just that they should be beat up on. Men learn the hard way that showing vulnerability to women opens things up. And here's another thing. What if the mental health problem that a farmer has is that his wife's abusing him? Do they want a bunch of farm wives around to go tattle on him and abuse him and say, no, no, there's something wrong with you? Of course not. Now, since people don't watch all the video a lot of times, I'll go back up there, but I just want to point out there are plenty of opportunities for female-only clubs such as Ladies Farmers, the Women's Institute, Ladies in Beef, and Ladies in Pigs. That's right. These women, they don't want to deal with men. And they start their women's-only clubs with impunity. And they tell the men to get out. So men, since men are good enough to leave these women alone, they should stick to their guns and say, no, you're not coming into my male-only space. Okay, so you know they're being hypocritical. We'll get back to the top. Members were asked to ditch the clause in the rule book, which states they were asked by who? Membership shall be open to men actively engaging in agriculture and its associated activities, and men who, in the opinion of the committee, would be an asset to the society. And this is important because, as you can see, men are the ones that are important to anything that's important to society. They're the workhorses when it counts. So these guys are recognizing they can't just let this, but you can't let farms go tits up by having women come in and destroy the place like they do in geeks cultures, good geek spaces. You know, as bad as it is, geek spaces, you could have a comic book shot down. You can still go and get some bread at the store. You can't have this shit happening to farm men. When a motion to allow women in the society was put to the vote between 67 members, about 90% of those present voted to keep barring them. Good. It's good that they barred them in the first place, and it's better that 90% were actually keeping it up. That's three things. It was start as a men-only space, to they voted to keep barring it, they stood up for themselves, and 90% of the guys did it, which shows most men are starting to wake up, at least in certain cases. Now, Lisa Edwards, an arable farmer who chairs the National Farmers Union in Lancashire, lashed out on Twitter. Yeah, notice she's, what is it? She chairs it. So this woman is in a position of high authority. That's right. These women pushed their way to the top, even though I'm sure farmers are mostly men. She wrote, very sad Liverpool Agriculture Discussion Society voted to train a ban on women's attending. Even in 2022, women in agriculture still face barriers to networking and learning in their local farm community. This is bullshit. No one's stopping these female farmers from getting together. They have their own spaces where they talk all the time. So this is a typical female bullshit narrative. They see men with spaces. They want to get in there and know that women are there to dominate those spaces. And they get pissed. I don't know if this woman's a feminist or not, because I'm telling you right now, women are not for equality. They never were. They don't have to be a feminist. The average woman does not want equality between men and women. They see men as beneath them. Now, Miss Edwards, who farms 900 acres of cereal crops, potatoes, and Mercy side, also told the Telegraph. She told the Telegraph, really, ever notice, you guys, that these women can get their faces and names in mass media and the average guy can't? This is the kind of social dominance Jane Doe has. Men wish they had that kind of social clout. They want to run a farm, they should have equal opportunities. You do. You just don't have, they're just not allowing you in this specific club. They shouldn't be discriminated against because of their sex. You're not. You have women's only spaces. You hypocrite. We thought we should vote to have women at least as guests, as compromise. I didn't expect it to be 90% against. I'm glad. I didn't expect it either, but I'm so glad to hear this. And it's not a compromise. You think these guys, when they're talking about mental health, want a bunch of women there? Having you as a guest as opposed to a member, it's the same difference. These women are still going to insert their opinions and try and dominate the men there, whether they're guests or members. Miss Edwards tweeted, attracted a mixed response, with a regenerative farmer, Anna Jackson, saying, I feel like a protest at their town hall where they meet would be very doable. See, these women, all you guys, this is why men's rights activists, this is what you've got to do. Because these women, they network with one another. They, like I said, they don't have to be feminists. They just have to be the average woman, and they don't like men, and they want to make sure men are under the thumbs, and they get together and they work together. So there has to be an effective men's rights movement that does stuff like that. Show at their town halls, say, no, these women, I would show up even if these women didn't show up as a men's rights activist. I'd show up with a group of guys saying, look, I want you guys to know you're doing the right thing. Don't let these people have their double standards. Rachel Amond said her first reaction was, what the heck? But when she started to think about all the female-only agricultural groups, wow. Wow, so there's a bunch of them already that kick the guys out. She asked herself, is it so wrong? Why is she asking herself a rhetorical question? Of course it's wrong to Rachel Edelman. That's why her first reaction was, what the heck? She just doesn't want to look like a hypocrite, but she doesn't mind being a hypocrite. I want all you guys to know that. To be honest, it's one of the reasons I joined Women in Dairy. See, another one. Although I am in Yorkshire Women in Farming, we could be in danger of having double standards. It's not in danger. Women, there are double standards and always have been. Women have put up double standards since forever. Geez, it angers me. And like I said, all she's doing is saying, I don't want to look bad. But if she had her way, these guys would crumble. And she'd put these women in here. And notice tell me, why are there women only dairy? Are men going to somehow destroy their meetings? Well, women think so, because they definitely don't want men there. They don't think men will hurt the meetings. They just don't want men there. And that's the only reason. And they'll stick to their guns. And that's what men should be. Men shouldn't be begging and saying, look, this is for our mental health. They should say, no, we don't want you there. Now, LADS member Ollie Harrison, good, he said his name, and Merseyside arable farmer, who was not at Wednesday's meeting and so did not take part in the vote, rejected the suggestions the group was discriminatory. Thank you, Ollie, down here, because it isn't. Because if it was discriminatory, then women's only spaces are also discriminatory. Having heard a presentation from a guy that's started Andy's Men's Club, who, like myself, lost a friend through depression, I believe the stigma around mental health is still quite strong. Ollie, you're right. It is quite strong for you guys. Men who show their vulnerability are attacked. These women-only groups could have a mental health group and invite men, and they'd be all right because everyone will support them. And this is why these men don't want these women in their support group, because they would be counterproductive. The society meets 6 or 7 times a year. I believe it is good support work for men who often work in isolated industry. Wow. See, these women, they're never alone. They always find each other and network with one another. Or these men, these farming men, they're working alone. You know why? Because it's a slow status job. And men don't really work together the way they should. But that's why it's always alone. There was another video I did that showed what? A young farm boy looking for a wife. And he couldn't find one in town. Because women don't want to marry low status farm boys. I don't think the Institute is outdated. It isn't, you're right, Ollie, but it may be, maybe its name is outdated. Okay, he's trying to throw some crumbs. Don't do that. LADS is an acronym for what it is. So he's basically saying, we don't want to be like one of those lads. Sorry, this is where he falls down. And this is why men like Ollie Harrison will fail eventually, because you give an inch, they take a mile. There's nothing wrong with the name. Within the region, there's lots of opportunity for agriculture-based learning and topics. There's also plenty of opportunities for female-only clubs, like I read. Now, this is, I'll put the rest in. That's the main gist of this. It's pretty well the end of it anyway. So I'll put it in here, and I want you guys to see this is a positive strike for men. A male-only club stuck to its gun for the benefit of the men. This is good, and men should be doing this more often. This is why this stuff has to be brought out to center. Like, these guys only through their brute experience together were able to keep this going. But there needs to be media coverage on stuff like this. It needs to be brought awareness, and this double standards that these women always come up with, these disgusting women, should be brought out, and they should be shamed for what they are. Thank you, everybody.